Okay. Alright, good. Very good. Okay. So let's start. So when we talk about organizations of the nervous system, we are talking about three divisions. Okay? Remember, the main anatomical organization of the nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord, the CNS and the PNS. When we talk about in terms of the function of the nervous system, okay, how it functions, there are actually three. So you have sensory division, integrative, and motor division. Please know that all of these divisions work in tandem, they work together. How? For example, as a child, okay, as a child, actually it's not an example, it's my example. As a child, I was attacked by bats, okay? I was attacked by bats. That's why until now I have phobia of bats. Now, because I was attacked by bats, I had to get anti-rabies shots, okay, because of that. I created a memory about bats. To me, bats are evil. Bats are vampires. You know? I mean, now everyone wants to be a vampire now. But back then, vampires are evil. They're always associated with bats. So I created a memory. Okay? A memory has been created of a bad experience. So what happens? The next time I encounter a bat, what would be the first thing I would do? I would probably run. Remember, fight or flight reaction? How does that work? Remember, I have the memory. My sensory vision, my visual picks up the bat. And I know what it looks like. Even if it's in the shadows, I know what it looks like. That's why I hate Batman. Okay, now, my visual picks it up, my eyes pick it up, sends it all the way to what part of my brain? Which is our primary visual center? Occipital. Okay? So it sends that signal to my occipital lobe. Then the occipital lobe sends that signal to my frontal lobe, frontal cortex. However, my frontal lobe will then start to look into my hippocampus or the other parts of my memory to see what's associated with that particular site. And automatically brings up the bad memory of me being attacked by a similar organism. What happens? My frontal lobe will start to prompt my muscles, okay, the motor neurons, to take me out of there, okay? And it will also be associated with what happens to my heart rate? Increases. Right? Sympathetic response, fight or flight. In that case, it is flight. Okay? And never in a million years will you ever fight with a bat. Okay? Trust me. That phobia is there till the day I die. So does everyone understand how these three divisions work? They actually work in tandem at all times. For everything we are doing now, these three divisions are working. For those who are writing down, your motor, your sensory, because your auditory is working. And of course, your integrative, because you are trying to understand. Okay, audio and visual, yes. You are trying to understand what the hell I'm saying. Okay? So does everyone understand how these three work together? They work together in different orders. Sometimes, the integrated division will actually start first. If you are daydreaming, your integrated division is the one that's working well. So, I told you before, do you recall last week, that the human mind can only focus on one thing. But even though you are focusing on one thing, all of these divisions can actually work together at the same time. Okay? Does everyone understand? Good. Okay, so there are different circuits and pathways. This is what makes neurophysiology and the nervous system very, very complex. Okay? That, for example, looking at the somatosensory axis of the nervous system. So this is the skin. Okay? So we talk about, you have temperature receptors or thermal receptors. Okay? That feel pain, cold, warm. You have the, as you mentioned before, the Pacinian corpuscles, okay, which feels pressure. You have touch, which are the base nerves. Okay, all of these will actually are connected to the spinal cord, and please take note that when they are connected to the spinal cord, they will. The term is dissociate. What does dissociate mean? Crosses over to the other side. If you feel the sensation here, that will be perceived by which part of your brain? Left or right? It is my right. So where will my brain feel this? Left. Which part of my brain?
Right.
Very good. Parietal lobe. You have to start remembering this. So for our next talk quiz, we'll talk about parts of the brain. Okay? Which one is sensory, which one is motor. We'll talk about that. Okay, you need to know the parts of the brain or you will not understand this lecture at all. Okay? We actually do not have much time. I looked over all of the chapters we're going to discuss. And what I had to do was I had to integrate some lectures together and get rid of information that technically wasn't really helpful. Okay? So, when you say kinesthetic receptor, what does this mean? What does that detect? Very good. Movement. Okay? Kinesthetic detects movement. Now, all of this will go up, and then it will go all the way up your brain, the spinal cord, your brainstem, and then to the thalamus, which is the relay station. Remember this, that the sensory experience here is actually immediate. It causes an immediate reaction. What was my example last week? Have you ever experienced insects crawling on you while you were asleep? If I were to put a cockroach and an ant on your back, could you differentiate between the two? Yes, you probably could. Why? Because you have more or less a memory of what it feels like for an ant to crawl on you and for a cockroach to crawl on you. If you do not have a memory, take a cockroach and make it crawl on you. So you get a memory. Now, what happens? Do you think about it? That feels like a cockroach is crawling on your back. Do you think about it? No! You react right away. You jump up. You try, you do the dance. You know what's the dance? You try to get it from your clothes. Maybe it's under your clothes or something. That is an immediate reaction brought about by a sensory experience. Okay? So what was involved there? The base nerves, remember, touch. It was a Pacinian corpuscle involved when a cockroach is crawling in your back. Yes. Okay, very good. There is involvement of the Pacinian corpuscle because anything on you exerts pressure. Do your clothes exert pressure? Yes. Your clothes weigh something. Okay, so your clothes are exerting pressure on your Pacinian corpuscles at this very moment. Okay. Now, so we talked about the receptors. They're involved when insects crawling on you. What's the next involvement? Okay, the sensory is already involved. The interneurons. And usually, the interneurons, there would be more or less some memory involved, prompting your interneurons to react right away. Because it goes up and it goes down, it's too slow. Remember I told you that's the reason why we have interneurons.